first of all want to compliment Deputy Michael McNamara for organising and putting together this private member's motion. I think it's very important, and it's very important for the region. I live outside Tuam. I'm within 55 minutes of Knock Airport or Ireland West Airport, and I'm within 45 minutes of Shannon Airport. So the connectivity for us is very, very important. If Galway East is to develop, we need to have proper connectivity to the outside world. I remember back in 2007, 2008, we had a crisis in Shannon where Aer Lingus were proposing to take the Heathrow hubs and transfer them to other airports. And it was at that time, I remember coming together as the Cathaoirleach of Galway County Council with the Cathaoirleach of other counties right across the western seaboard to mount a campaign which was successful in retaining the Heathrow hubs in Shannon at that time. Today, we have a huge problem facing us again with the airports. Shannon and Knock, which are in my area, Kerry, Donegal, which are all in the Atlantic Economic Corridor region, are under severe pressure. So I think now, first of all, I want to say to the Minister is that I welcome the fact that funding was announced yesterday, and I would believe that it probably was on foot of the motion that was put down by Deputy McNamara and ourselves. I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that funding is coming, but I think we need to look at the broader issues pertaining to regional development. So I think we have an opportunity here now in the west of Ireland to make sure that we prepare a plan and that we make sure that we put in procedures now to develop. And for instance, I think it's important that immediate actions are taken in relation to the airports. And short-term measures would include the help is needed so that we can meet the regulatory requirements for these airports to stay open. We need state support to facilitate pilots to keep them current with their licences. We need to re-engage the already existing Aviation Recovery Task Force to create concrete proposals on the integration of an all-Ireland aviation policy with the emphasis on regionality. The task force can consider similar successful strategies in other jurisdictions. We need to build on the Atlantic Economic Corridor Task Force, whose purpose is to create a strategy and recommendations to government on maximising the potential for the region. This task force would include industry as well as department experts and would be given 3 months to submit their report to government. We should develop traffic light systems for countries outside of the EU, for example Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the USA, in order to provide clarity to our diaspora regarding travel home for Christmas. Looking into the medium term, I think it's very important that we look at policy on air access, and it should be linked to and consistent with tourism and enterprise policy objectives, especially with Fáilte Ireland. We need more of an integrated network to see how we can leverage growth access across the entire nation. And we need to investigate and actively support growth opportunities in the regional airports for aviation-related business such as aircraft maintenance, logistics, freight handling and storage, pilot and aviation-related training, aviation leasing business. And I would say we have an opportunity here with our third-level institutions right across the region to put in place programmes to train young people for the aviation industry. I would also say that, having looked at the Atlantic Economic Corridor region, which stretches from Donegal to Kerry and includes 12 counties, there is an opportunity here for us to develop a strategy for our airports, for our ports and also for our rail network right across the region. If you go across the world, you can see airports which are in place that have, you come out of the airport, you hop straight onto a train and you can go into the city, into the town, into the region, And this is what we need from Ireland West Airport, a connection onto the Western Rail Corridor, and likewise from Shannon we need to connect onto the Western Rail Corridor. This is how we have to plan for the future. This is how we have to plan for the green economy, to take people out of cars and to put them onto public transport. But it's great to talk about it, but we need to put the infrastructure in place, and I think these two airports really are key components in the delivery of regional development. I also believe that it is important that when we talk about the airports, we look at the airport as a gateway for tourism to come into our country, to wait in the region, rather than all coming into Dublin Airport and having to meander around the country or parts of the country by bus from there. I think it's important that we go back, we teach people who are selling Ireland that they can land into Shannon, they can land into Cork, they can land into Ireland West Airport, and we can then use Donegal and we can use Kerry airports to back up that. It is very important that we do this in a way that we are looking at the future. We're not looking at today or tomorrow, we're looking at the future. We have to plan and have a vision for the next 25, 30, 40 years. We all talk about regional development, and whilst we have a huge crisis in the airports, I think we should grasp this nettle and grasp this problem now. And if we do, and if we make the airports the centre of our business and the hubs by which we fan out from there, and we connect to the cities of Galway, of Sligo, Limerick, down into Cork and Athlone, we are actually creating that network where tourism, where business people can all access the region. And I think it's interesting, there's an article in one of the papers today which talks about how many people are working remotely at the moment and how many people are looking to move to the regions. So that is an opportunity, and the potential is there for us to make sure that when they come, that they have the broadband, they also have the road network, but they also have the rail network, and they have the connectivity to make sure when we get the best of people and we can set up the industries which would be at the cutting edge of technology in the region. We also have the opportunity, and the Minister knows this well, to create huge business offshore in the wind energy. And I think this is something else that we need to build into a strategy for the Atlantic Economic Corridor. And in conclusion, I would suggest that maybe what we should be looking at is setting out the Atlantic Economic Corridor region as a strategic region and make sure that it gets preferential treatment to make sure we get the regional development we require. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Deputy.